Don't look at me. Stop. A Man Called Ove, released in 2015 and is directed by Haynes Holm, who is behind such films like The Andersons in Grease, The Andersons Hit the Road, and The Andersons Rock the Mountains. I have no idea what The Andersons are, but I'm only assuming that they're a Swedish film franchise, because this film is from a Swedish director, made in Sweden, so I would assume. And this film is starring Rolf Lassgård, Bahar Pars, Philip Berg, and Ida Ingvol. I apologize, I probably said every single one of those names incorrectly. Please forgive my ignorant American ass. And the reason why we are covering A Man Called Ove today is because it was a PayPal recommendation / donation from Drew Hallam of the Real Feels podcast. And if you can go over to their podcast, give them a like, download a couple of their episodes. They're one of the best retrospective, independent retrospective film reviewing podcast out there that I listen to on a regular basis. So Drew, everyone at Real Feels, thank you so much for the donation, and thank you very much for the recommendation. This is one of those films that I never even heard of, and definitely would not have gone out of my way to watch. This film was an emotional journey. The tears were coming at the end, and it was a real dark, good, happy, sad time for me. Ove is a 60-year-old widower who lives in a private housing community, who is one big old curmudgeon, yelling at everyone around him, calling them idiots because they either don't know how to do the simplest things, or because they have the wrong car model. And what we later find out is that Ove is trying to commit suicide so that he can join his late wife who passed away 6 months ago. However, every single time that he tries to join her, his plans are thwarted by a new family that is moving in next door. And even though at first he finds them all to be idiots and very annoying, he comes to love and enjoy them, and they become a huge part of his life. Again, never heard of this film, never would have gone out of my way to watch it, and I'm so glad I did. This is one incredible emotional journey. From the writing, from the cinematography, from the acting that we get here, everything is stellar. And the biggest kudos that you have to start off with this film is Rolf Lassgård. The way that he is able to combine being this overbearing jackass and this big, huge, cuddly teddy bear is incredible. And not to be ageist or anything, but I feel like that's a characteristic that you get from having years on you. A younger actor, I feel, couldn't portray this role, put on age makeup, and do this. I feel like this has to come from someone who has experiences and have been places and has lived a life. Because watching this character walk up and down the streets all the way to the cemetery where he talks with his late wife, you feel everything. You feel the pain, you feel the sadness, you feel the joy in him remembering past events and the happy events of meeting his wife for the first time, or him learning to build a car with his dad, or the joy of being an expecting father at a point. So when we get to the scenes of where we see him trying to hang himself, or he's trying to kill himself by breathing in the exhaust from his car inside of his garage, there's a part of you that's like, no, don't do it, we want you to stay here. But there's also another part that you feel from this character where you understand why he's trying to do this. He's all alone, he has no one, he's in the middle of this housing community where everyone appears to hate him. And then even outside of this small little community, the people in the white shirts, big corporate executives, all of them seem to hate this guy, or at least have it in for this guy. So I totally understand the desire, the want to end it all so that you can be with the person that you love. That was their main driving force, their main source of happiness in this world. But we come to find out that Ove sucks at killing himself. At first I thought this was going to be a drama, but what this ended up being was a dark comedy where you find the humor in the dark side of life. So if death is on the table, or if a deadly disease is on the table, dark comedy is here to kind of shed a little giggle on those aspects or those events. Dark comedy is not for everyone. I am a dark and tortured soul, so it's for me. And the dark comedy only comes in here more and more once Pavarna is introduced and her family. And this character is one of those kind of like secret little angels who are sent here just to be that one person for someone to lean on. That they may not know that at the time, but then once everything kind of comes to an end and they look back on their life, they realize, you were there for that person. That's who this character is. She's a character that I wish I could be. If someone wrongs me or talks down to me or upsets me in any sort of way, I kind of just break myself off and separate myself as much as possible from them. But Pravarna, what she does is she latches onto them and tries to see the good and try to get them to help them in their life and also help the other person in their lives as well. Talking it through, really, this movie is making me think of just my life and where it's going and how it's probably going to end. And that's a scary thing to think about. It's a sad thing to think about, but you see a movie like this and you can't help but just put a smile on your face with the idea of getting old. It's one big lovable character study into this character of Ove and just where he's been throughout his entire life, why he does the things that he does, why he is such an old curmudgeon nowadays. You see where all of that comes from. The movie flashes back and forth between present time and then into his earlier life. We see him when he is a kid with his dad and learning to build cars and becoming employed by the train tracks and a factory. And then we also see where he meets Sonia for the first time and why they fell in love with each other and their first date. And then certain things that happen in their life and obstacles that they have to overcome. You see why they're such a great pairing, and you see why her passing at the beginning of this film has such a meaningful impact on Ove, and why there's such this big hole in him, in his soul, in his chest, whatever. The point where he feels like he needs to kill himself to see her. Plus, there's also this big, adorable Mancoon cat in this film, and at first, I warned Drew on my last review, if anything happens to that cat, it's gonna be his ass. Thankfully, though, this cat is just fine. Nothing bad happens to him. In fact, I mean, he may be a little hungry, but he's actually a good cat. He gets taken in and cared for. There is a little sad part at the end, but it's not the cat that you need to worry about. But other than that, the cat's fine. I'm okay. So this movie gets a pass for me. I really, really, really enjoyed this film. I think it's a great look into what it means to get old. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of sorrow, of course, that comes with getting old, seeing other people pass on before you, but there's also a lot of joy that you can find in your later years by passing on your knowledge to a younger generation so that they're able to pass it on to their children or their friends who are younger than them as they get older too. Now, is it a movie that I'm going to go back and watch on repeat? No, because there are some pretty heavy things in here that I don't want to relive, but other than that though, this film is fantastic. I think everyone should check this out. Of course, it's a Swedish film, so for everyone here in the States or everyone who speaks English, there are subtitles. You can get over it. This film is worth it. I'm gonna give A Man Called Ove 4.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I randomly select which movie I'm gonna be watching next, so let's take a look. The Great Escape, recommended by Comic Book Craig Movie. He's been one of my biggest supporters on YouTube and on Twitter. When the whole Snyder Cut thing was being released, he was the big commenter on all of my posts, so thank you very much, Craig, for that, and thank you very much for this recommendation. I've always heard of this film, and I've never seen it, and I think to a lot of film buffs out there, that is a blasphemous thing to say. I know that Steve McQueen is in it, and that it's probably just a really big prison break, and I like prison movies. I like Hogan's Heroes. I grew up on Hogan's Heroes, so if this is anything like that, I guess I'm gonna have a good time. I feel like this is one of those movies that my dad watched a lot when I was a kid, and I never paid attention. Dad was always into those old war movies, Tora, 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 and things like that. But I'll probably have a much more founded respect for this film after watching this for this review. So we'll check it out next time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do. Just attach your movie recommendation with your donation. And if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, give you a shout out on the channel, and get my review of it published as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, have you seen A Man Called Ove? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you on the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of The Great Escape. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.